My mind is set, my grind is set, my heart on ice is cold. I'm only here to even a score. Whoa. My mind is set, my grind is set, my heart on ice is cold. I'm down right now, but did it before. Whoa. See, from here we going up. Made the call, I shown up. Now the game is sewn up. Say my name is blown up. We up, 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 we up. See, from here we going up. Made the call, I shown up. Now the game is sewn up. Say my name is blown up. We up, 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 we up.
What up, Night Nation? It's your boy Roger, and it's another episode of the Knighted Ones podcast. In fact, it's episode number 123, or 123. I can't believe we made it this long. As a reminder, we are the only podcast that features a former UCF national champion, a former UCF radio host, an ESPN analyst and hoops player, an infamous, yes, that's infamous rapper, our resident influencer, and IG star shooting the breeze talking UCF sports. Remember to like and follow us on YouTube, IG, X, and check out the 70 plus teams and conferences on the College Huddle and the Big 12 Huddle. This week, we do have a few bits of football news, which we'll share. We're going to be talking a lot more about hoops, a big BYU win, and then a pretty questionable loss to Baylor. So we'll talk about that, where that leaves us for the tournament, where that leaves us for seeding, and what we expect from here. In addition to that, we'll talk about a little UCF baseball. We're a little worried about our hitting, so we'll get into that. We'll talk a little softball, our listener love segment, and tell you all about the other sports that Alan and Andrew do not watch. But before we do that, without further ado, let's go bring on the rest of the crew. Trey will actually be making his long delayed appearance back on the show after some special news. And but for now, we have last but not least, but always last, Josh Lazar. Welcome back to the stage.
I can't be last if I am first. I can't. I don't know. Hey, hello world. It's Josh here. I'm really excited to talk about the worst refereeing I've ever seen live in person, and watching a women's basketball game on a Sunday afternoon. That was not on the cards for last week, but saw the women win a game. So and I will say not happy about baseball either.
Yeah, definitely an interesting. Well, first of all, interesting banner here. I don't know what they've done to my banners, but they've changed them. So I'll have to figure that out during the show.
I like the style blue. Maybe this is for the space game coming up tomorrow for the basketball team. Maybe it's kind of space themed.
That is a great way of putting that out there. But I'll try to figure this out in just a minute. That being said, what can I say? We had a week full of winning, right? Followed by a very tough week for UCF football, or not football, basketball, baseball, and everything else. Softball, although, held its own. In the meantime, let's talk a little UCF football. So we'll start with cornerback Coach Will Johnson leaves UCF after 3 months on the job to take an NFL job with the Minnesota Vikings. So let me say this about that. Number one, listen, if someone gets offered, that's better. If someone gets offered the ability to, take an NFL job as a UCF coach, I'm never going to begrudge them that fact. They absolutely deserve it. And it's something that you have to take if that's the case. It does create a little bit of a situation because there were some pretty good relationships in the defensive back room that came with Will Johnson. And but we are not in danger of losing anybody off of the staff. So all I'm going to say is congratulations to Coach Johnson. Wish he would have stayed here a little longer. We'll backfill. It'll be okay. But congratulations to him. As far as who is a candidate or a good candidate to replace him right now, it's kind of weird timing because the coaching carousel is over. So the time to pick up those coaches, you're going to get someone who's either retired, a rental, or sitting on the sidelines. So I'm not sure there is a good candidate to replace him at this time. But I do think that, coach will get somebody in there. If all else fails, coach can coach DBs if he needs to. He did play DB in the NFL. So other good news is combine news. So if you guys have been living under a rock, Malachi Lawrence, we've been talking about him and his ability to rocket up people's draft boards, and he did himself a ton of favors. He had been considered a top 100 candidate up until this point. One of the last guys, really, that's those 4-year guys that you kind of want to root for. So I've got a extra special place in my heart for him. But he did a great job, had a blistering 40, had over a 40-inch vert, which is crazy. You're talking about a guy that's 240 plus pounds or 260 plus pounds and had a 40-inch vert. That's crazy, right, for a football player. On top of that, his splits were great, and he had a great broad jump at over 10 feet and 10 inches. The actual record was right at 11 feet. So he's done himself a ton of favors. He shot up the draft boards, and he may be looking at a first round, probably outside chance, but more than likely a second round draft pick. So that's huge for Malachi Lawrence.
Yeah. Just look what happens when you stay 4 or 5 years in a university.
Yeah, exactly. Would be nice if that continued to happen, right?
Nah, if we can get 2 or 3, it'd be great. But listen, if the last vestige of quote old school college football ends up becoming, first day, well, the first or second day pick, right? One of the two. That's great. And props for him. I'm sure that was part UCF, part tons of training. And I'm intrigued. I didn't think about this until just right now. How the NIL money lends itself to better funding for getting you more preparation to get in the NFL, because all the trainers and whatnot, you might not even have to do like on a contingency or anything like that. You might be able to straight up pay for exactly what you get. So that might be, I never just thought about that. It might be an interesting dynamic to think about or talk about in the future, because they should have the money to invest in themselves to try to get better.
Well, I mean, more often than not, it's their, when they're doing the off-season training, especially after their last season, right? That's being paid for by an agent. So the agent will dictate which academy that they go to. They'll dictate how much they're charged. And then, of course, they're betting against their contract, right? So when they are signed, they have to pay that money back. If they don't get signed, then they don't, right? Which is meh. But some of these guys who end up being UDFAs, or bubble or something like that, that ends up costing them in the long run. But in the interim, right now, at the end of the day, they're not really paying for it. Now, are some of them going to maybe pay for, if they're smart, maybe pay for that extra training in the off season instead of buying a Hellcat? Yeah. Maybe. Right. But those gas station picks are important too for, followers and whatnot. The other part about this is, like the social profiles and all that is, it started with high school players trying to stand out and starting to leverage socials. Then now you've got these college players. If they're smart, they're building a brand. They realize they're building the brand. They're investing in that. So in those socials to be able to increase their contract value in the NIL era for their next stop or with their existing organization. So, it's so much more, just like with business or for your own career. LinkedIn isn't about seeing the jobs anymore. It's about building a brand so people notice you to try to get you in front of them. So it's all about personal branding. So interesting change, but big shout out to Malachi Lawrence. Another shout out to Nigel Kelly. He also shined in the NFL combine. Didn't stand out as much as Malachi Lawrence did as far as his measurables were concerned. Malachi made a name for himself also in the Senior Bowls that he participated in. Nigel really kind of went under the radar in the offseason, but he has, he had some great results over the past couple of years. Came from Miami as a 5-star, so he already had some noise around him. So it'll be interesting to see between the two of them, considering what their roles were on our offense. Which one lands higher? Do you think it'll be Malachi Lawrence or Nigel Kelly now with these changes?
So it's interesting because they both should do well, and I, maybe there's this one. I don't know if anyone sneaks up at the end and is unknown, right? There'll probably be a couple of undrafted free agents, but I would have to say Lawrence at this point. And truth be told, if they stay relatively healthy and they take to the training and have a spot on a team, meaning they're in a situation where there isn't like 600 people ahead of them, so they really don't have a shot at making a 53-man roster. They both have a shot at playing like this or next year. They are very talented players. But I think after everything I've seen at the combine, I think it has to be Lawrence. It sounds like it's going to be, but it will be nice again to have a couple of people players who've been here a little bit. This isn't just the one and done, and then maybe they get drafted. We get a couple of players who we've seen them play for a little while, and it's nice to root for them. So I think it's going to be, to your question, I think it's going to be Lawrence. I think he did enough work in the combine to maybe be the first off the board for UCF.
Awesome. Yeah, I tend to agree. I think Malachi Lawrence will go higher than Nigel Kelly, which is interesting. Who would have thought that, 3 years ago? I don't think anybody. But Malachi did have the second best 40 time of all the edge rushers. Now, the one guy who had a higher time or a lower time in his 40 was just blazing. So, he kind of stole the show. But before that, Malachi was getting all the draft buzz, and he still will continue. And a team who's looking for an edge, I truly do think he'll go top of the second round. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. All right. Now that we've talked what little football there is, let's go ahead and get down with some hooping and hollering. Lots to talk about with the basketball team right now, as we are now officially in March. As of this show's recording, it is March 2nd. And, the tournament is coming. So had some good news, something that I think kind of surprised us all. We were talking about playing number 19 BYU on the road last week on last week's show. And I was kind of hedging. I was doing the Josh. I was riding the fence as far as, what I was going to say. But a convincing win against BYU. We beat them 97-84 in Provo. Obviously, they've had some injuries that have affected them, but so have we. I mean, Stillwell has been out at times. We didn't have Riley Kugel for this game. So the question was, who was going to take that over? DJ played a little while. Just injuries all over the place, with this season. In this game, Stillwell, he had 29 minutes, which was amazing considering where he was with his leg or with his ankle. And then again, he re-injured it, but he was 4 for 6 from field goals, 1 for 1 3-pointers, 12 rebounds. But this Jordan Burks had a day. He was 4 for 7 for 3, 9 from 12 from the floor, had 24 points, tied Themis Folks, who also had 24 points and was 10 for 21 and 2 for 3 from 3 points. We drained 14 3-pointers in this game. 14, which is absolutely crazy for us, right? You know,
Minus
Josh,
one game. I was gonna say minus one game. One game we were like 17, but typically no, we're not having 8 to 10 3-pointers in the first half.
no, and it goes to show you, you know, it goes to show you too, at least in my mind, what this team can do when they're hitting decent 3-point numbers. At the beginning of the season and towards the middle of the season, it was a little bit better, right? But I mean, 58% from three is ridiculous. BYU shot 33%. We only took 64 shots in this game versus BYU 71. I mean, that's nuts.
Yeah, the entire game, it was interesting because I was watching that one live and well, not live, right, but on TV, and it is interesting. The BYU felt like they were so lost on defense, and I don't know exactly what caused that. I don't think it was completely our play, right? I think some of our hitting shots got to them. I don't know if I know you've played basketball. I don't know if a lot of the audience has, even in pickup or whatnot. At some point, when you get one or two players on a team that just doesn't miss, it gets in your head. I mean, I've been on that usually on the losing end, a couple times on the winning end, and it's just it gets so in your head. So I think there was a mix of like they couldn't miss almost anything. It felt like, and the defense was porous. And then at the other end, they couldn't buy a bucket. And we were playing defense. Let's not get it twisted. We were playing defense, but I don't think it was the best defense in the world we were playing. It was solid Dawkins defense. And they couldn't hit the broadside of the barn, mixed with coming out to an early lead and getting some turnovers and some picks, like jumping into passing lanes and all that. And it just kept spiraling for like a good 30 total minutes. And it was bad. We'll talk about Baylor in a second now, after this segment, and some similarities.
Yeah. So the big thing for me, you talked about offense and defense, right? Offensively, things that we did poorly in Baylor again as we went ISO at the Baylor game. For especially, you know, we were talking about it in the text thread. I had talked with Ben about Themis Folks and how the last several games he had been going ISO for quite a bit, right? And I thought that was a regression. So this game, we didn't do that. We moved the ball pretty well. Offensively, you know, we found the open shot. We took the extra pass. We went inside out, which we hadn't been doing for a while. And I'd sent you guys an interesting graph that was plotting ISO versus success rate. And basically UCF was the furthest to the right as far as the teams that were successful and that had the highest percentage of ISO basketball. So last, I would say 5 to 6 games, we were playing a lot more ISO. Towards the beginning of the season, we were passing more, but we were also forcing it and was going into turnovers. Their defense was not good. It was not good. The game before, they had great defense. This game, their defense was not good at all. They were not adapting to the extra pass, and I do think we got in their heads. Especially in the first half. Now, defensively, I do think we played one of our best games defensively, right? We played that 1-3-1, and a game or two before we were talking about the 1-3-1 and how I was complaining about how poorly we were playing it, right? Because what was happening is we were jumping to the help, but we were leaving guys wide open at the arc or, you know, in 10 to 20 feet away from the basket, and people were finding soft spots in that because our spacing was not right on the 1-3-1. You can close down a lane or close down a passing lane in the paint without actually going over and going for help defense when it comes to basketball, right? Even if you cheat, kind of like sometimes a defender in football will cheat the route, right? You can cheat the lane as far as basketball is concerned on defense as well. What we did differently this time is we got back out to the arc on the 1-3-1, and our spacing was different in the sense that we didn't completely bite on the passing lane. So at the end of the day, I think that was the difference defensively. So looks like Trey just checked in. He said, "You're 7% there. Please keep your computer on." I think he's, well, one, he's got an HP, so boo. Two, he's I think he hasn't turned his computer on in a long enough time that it's happening to
Probably
run an update. So he will be joining us later. But
Yes.
That being said, as far as that's concerned, the 1-3-1 just played much, much differently. The spacing was appropriate. We weren't over helping. And so we were cheating enough to close down the passing lanes, but at the same time staying within close enough distance to close out on the perimeter. And that's what was the difference in this game. We were also there was a lot more energy. We came out of the gate making shots, which isn't normal for us, right? I'd say 3/4 of the game, we come out slow and then get better as we go along. But this game, we absolutely hit the gate, came out of the gate running. And, as far as points in the paint is concerned, we dominated the paint. We outscored them in the paint 44-34. And if you can do that so the outside shots were open first. They tried to switch up their defense to come out on us offensively to shut that down. And then we went inside with the paint. So we adjusted based on what their defense was doing on the fly. And so that was the difference offensively for us, is we truly played inside out and outside in basketball, where lately we'd just been playing that ISO ball. And that's why we were able to get out to a 36-point lead. Now, did it help that BYU couldn't hit the broadside of a barn? Yeah, but they still ended with 41, a field goal percentage of 41% from the floor, right? They shot 33 from 3 points, which isn't terrible, but it isn't great either. They hit their free throws. They did really well there, but we out rebounded them. Offensive rebounds, they out rebounded us, but even the second chance points, they were missing bunnies, or we were there. We also out rebounded them defensively 32-22, which this is one of the core tenets for BYU, was being able to rebound and then turn that into transition offense. We turned the ball over 15 times this game, which is not good. But our assists were up to 25, which is higher than it's been in the last 3 games. So if you have an assist to turnover ratio, you hear me talk about that all the time, right? 25 assists to 15 turnovers. You're gonna win a lot of games. We also had fast break points. So we really beat them in every phase of the game. Now, all of that being said, we were a 36-point lead going into the half. We came out of the half and just completely shut it down. So I want to talk about that a little bit, because there's two schools. Hold on.
Okay.
So there's
you
two
finish.
schools of
I have
thought.
ideas on it. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's two schools of thought with this, right? So number one is, you've got a 36-point lead away at the Big 12. You don't have to keep your pedal to the metal. However, for me, I agree, because you don't want to risk injury. However, you still should have preserved more than the 13 points that we got. Now, was there? It was DeBonsta who had a poor game and we shut down. Was he trying to pad his stats a little bit at the end there? Yeah, 100% he was, right? But at the same time, it's like, we are playing for seeding. You heard me say that last week, and I'm going to say it again. We're playing for seeding, right? So you want at least a 20-point or 30-point win, because that helps us, our stats, our metrics are not as good as some of our competitors. People keep wondering why BYU keeps getting listed ahead of us, even though we beat them. And now they've lost again
Yeah.
after we played them. And they're still ahead in a lot of brackets, as far as seeding is concerned. And it's because their metrics, who they played earlier on in the season. So we need to have those extra points. Now, is 13-point win in the Big 12 on the road going to score you some points? Yes, but it didn't change our metrics at all. Would a 20-point or a 30-point against the number 19 team have made a difference? Yeah, probably would have, especially when you turn around and lose a 1-point game to Baylor the next week at home, right?
Yeah.
So for me, my biggest concern is I want to be a 7 seed or a 10 seed. I don't want to be an 8 seed or a 9 seed. And I'd much rather be the 7 seed. So
Correct.
Having had this and then maybe actually winning, and we'll get to Baylor because I have some thoughts about the ending of that game.
I have many thoughts before the ending.
Many thoughts. All right. So Josh has many thoughts. I have some thoughts. So, this is where you take those opportunities when you have them. We switched out to our bench players. We put a lot of guys in there that don't get a lot of minutes. Okay, I get it, Johnny, but at the same time, I'm not sure if I'm going to do that. I don't think that's necessarily a good thing. And then we took our foot off the gas. We were trying to waste time, and then we ended up getting within 13 points.
So here's what I think happened twofold. One, I think we played for a solid 30 out of 40 minutes. I think 30 minutes, we were up by 35, 36, 34, 30, something like that. Two things happened. I do agree that we let off the gas at some point, but BYU actually started showing up too. I can't give them zero credit for trapping all the time, trying to get people who don't usually take the ball up the court, the ball being hyperly aggressive on not only the trap but regular defense. They showed up like if they would have showed up that entire game, we would have lost. So that definitely had something to do with it. Did it have 20 points to do with it? No. But did it have something? Absolutely. There was a good stretch there. We weren't really doing anything. And it wasn't even, taking it down for 20 some odd seconds and then throwing up a prayer at, 1 second left. BYU was causing a significant amount of damage for that. It wasn't just us. Part of and this is nothing against Chris Parker, but when Chris Parker comes in the game, we know we're at the second or third layer and level of guards and whatnot. And folks and probably Chris Johnson are already taking a rest, which is fine. He definitely can do his thing. Maybe against the top 20 level team, not getting 10, 15 minutes. I don't know if that's exactly how many he got, but I'm just saying.
Well, I mean,
it wasn't like Pooh was in.
No, I know, but at the same time, these are our third level guys who don't get very many minutes. And when you consider, to your point about the trapping, had they, if I'm the head coach and I'm seeing them trap like that, and I have Pacheco and trying to move the ball up the court, it's time to call a timeout and kind of right the ship.
I agree. But the reality was we weren't losing that game. And I do agree with you. It would have been nice to stick around 20. But I think it was not just us taking it off the gas, and we were. I think it was that combined with BYU and mostly their starters playing defense out of their mind to try to make it a thing. Because that place was dead silent for a long time. And it should have been, because they were playing like garbage. Like hot garbage. And I wouldn't doubt if their coach pretty much, I wouldn't say laid into him, probably, but kind of questioned their fight, right? And in a mindful coach way, there was something after one of the timeouts. I don't know if it was the under 12. I think it was under 12. One of the timeouts, they were a different team. I don't know what it was, but they were a different team for all of 10 minutes. But they were a different team.
Well, yeah, and it was lineups. I mean, if you go back and look at our lineups, but it goes back to what I was saying, at the very beginning. I get it. You want to give guys opportunities,
I'm with you.
But at
No,
some
I'm
point,
with you.
the season matters, right? And I know Johnny doesn't look at it that way, but for me, it was driving me absolutely nuts. Oh boy.
This is our
Here-
job.
And here's Trey chiming in. So I'm guessing his update's done. Uh-oh. Little man's super restless. Okay, so as you guys remember, we said Trey was going to be back this week, but after the baby. But obviously, little man's super restless after the computer had its problem, and he says Johnny Dawkins
That's
an
funny.
extension. He says that every single time. I
funny.
can't say that I agree with that, but it does bring up an interesting question, right? Once the off season gets here, is would you give him an extension? We're obviously going to go to the tournament. That's not a question.
Yes.
Does he deserve an extension for that? UCF did push out some put some narratives out there and highlighted the fact that's back-to-back 21 seasons in the Big 12. The last year, though, his team pretty much quit on him because they were all going to go to other places for NIL. This year's team, I don't see that happening.
No.
A big part of that is because they don't. The major players don't have more eligibility left, right? They just don't.
Yeah. But there's some. I was when I was at the Baylor game. I was talking with one of the seatmates about who's still around, and there's certainly there's pieces that I'm like, okay, if we can find the right price and put more people around you, I think we could be solid next year too. But it's not Stillwell. It's not folks. It's definitely some, but not all of the core. But the core, there's about 3 or 4 people, about 3 that are still have a shot to be around if they want to be, and if we want them.
We'll see. I mean, you've got Bowl, right? Like that's the big one for me, and he's been going leaps and bounds.
Yes.
But he's also going to be pretty pricey. So it'll be interesting to see what we do there. Yeah. Trey says next week in-laws are taking him so I can do the pod.
Well, we'll see what happens. And that's okay. We get it. We've at least on the show, I think if almost everyone's had kids, right? I'm thinking.
Everybody has.
Except for Noah, but
Yeah, I was gonna say except Nobra.
Who
knows? He may have already. We haven't talked to him.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've been there. You're good. And there are definitely some pieces that Bull definitely won. Chris Johnson, I would like to see him stick around. I mean, he's a solid piece, and I think he's going to have a shot at being here for more than 1 year. Wouldn't it be nice? And then Burks is I think has 1 more year at least one, who again all are going to be pricey, and I think their play has shown it. So, and I say all that to say we do have a lot of seniors. They are going to stick around and not quit on the team. I do feel like this is more of a connected team, so there won't be pieces of that too. And to be fair, they're going to have a lot of video on them. And so the more they can do, the better it'll be for them, whether it's here or elsewhere. So I think the team is going to be solid.
Well, let's go ahead and switch gears here and talk about Baylor. So
sure.
I'm going to let you, obviously it's a loss, but you said you had a lot to say. So I'm going to let you talk first. Go ahead, Josh.
I will try to keep this PG-13. So I was at the game, and I think I amongst many people around me were losing our minds most of the game. Look, you might have seen me through here a bit. Yeah, there's a lot of that going on too. I am not anti-ref in any way, shape, or form. They have a hard job. I get it. I'm not anti-ref. This is probably one of the poorest refed games, and I'm sure that sounds like whatever, that I think I have seen. And it's not just the last play. and the whiff on Kugel. And Riley, I know you were listening, right? Yeah, anytime someone kicks out their leg, you had the space. You weren't in the circle. That wasn't a foul on you. A. B. Probably not shown on TV, but Folks was literally clotheslined and pulled down by someone who was trying to get the ball out. And he did hold on to his foot a little bit so he wouldn't be outpaced from him. But there was a foul at 13 seconds in, even before they got down to the other side. So there were so many plays that were not called as fouls. And I'm sure there was some both ways ref type of stuff. I'm paying more attention to UCF. There were so many times we either like lightly tapped someone and got called a foul, or were clotheslined and didn't get a foul, or you look at any reasonable replay and you're like, really? I mean, if you're talking about how we're talking in the stands, like this is not Joe Dumars and Bill Lane Beer level 90s basketball, right? No one's taking people out like that. But you can't have the refs take like not even a hand check, but like me like tapping someone lightly on the shoulder and call a foul on that. It was just egregious. It started with the bowl thing. He probably should have just walked away. That technical was quick. It was stupid. I think he had like one. I don't even know if he said anything. He literally just stared down the guy, walked, maybe said something. I don't know about that, and got a tech real quick, which was absolutely ridiculous. So here's the thing. Should this team allow Baylor to even feel like they had a thought of winning this game? Absolutely not. We played in the first half so poorly. We were playing so much ISO. We weren't passing. We weren't playing as a team. And that's the difference between this game and the BYU game. The BYU game, there was definitely some ISO, but the team was playing in sync. At least how they were spacing, how they were passing, how they were playing defense. It was a unit working together for about 30 minutes and then backed off a bit. For at least the middle, I'd say the middle 8 on each side, it was bad. And yes, some of it was because Stillwell and Burks weren't in, and Fumena got hurt, and Bull had fouls on him, and all this stuff. That is true. And even with that, we absolutely should have won this game. And I had a nickname, which is funny. I had a nickname for the referee who was calling almost every single foul. And when I searched up this gentleman's name, I'm not the only one who calls him this. I can't. It infuriates me that at least one, if not two, of the refs in this game inserted themselves in the game and caused what was not the best night for our team, no pun intended, to become a loss. Because that loss is not 100% on the team, and it's not also 100% on the refs. I'm going to be honest. But oh my God, you can't call that foul at the end. You can't blatantly miss, like, taking down one of our guys to the floor to get ahead of them. You can't miss that and then call a foul on someone kicking out a leg when he was like nowhere near. And it wasn't the first time the three at like a minute or two left in the game did the same thing with the kick out of the leg, hit the shot, but did the same thing. It is just frustrating. And I'm sure the team are frustrated, and my hope is that they take it out on Oklahoma State tomorrow, because they forget losing up in Stillwater and whatever. I think they realize that both their lack of passing and their ISO ball and a couple of other things, on top of letting the refs have a shot at calling the game, led to a loss that they shouldn't have had. And it's just frustrating. I was disgusted. That's the best I could say.
All right. So if I told you, Okay, so first half versus second half, right? Where was the defense? 56 points for Baylor in the first half. We never allow that, right? It says 87 points on the final score for them, but 56 points in the first half is just atrocious. They only scored 31 in the second half, right? So if we would have kept that defensive intensity going, this would be a 60-point score for them, and we're blowing the doors off of Baylor, right?
Yeah.
For us, we scored 42 in the first half and 44 in the second half. 86 points is typically enough time for us to win every single time.
The only time we scored more and lost was against Vandy. The only time this entire season.
So our field goal percentage was 52%. Now they shot 47, but we shot 52% from the floor. From the 3-point, from behind the arc, they got one more than we did, but they shot 39%. We shot 44. So our shooting was not bad. Free throws, it was roughly even, right? We shot a little bit better percentage-wise, but they had 3 more than what we did. Rebounds, we got out rebounded. And this this was a hustle problem. This was a hustle problem. They didn't wake up until midway through the second half.
Oh, yeah. Oh, the hustle was. So here's the two things. One, you're 100% right. Hustle was the entire problem for the first half. And our issues with fouls did not help. And then Fumena getting hurt. And Holzway actually didn't do that bad. He held his own. And he's good. He's not, there's reasons he's not starting, but he is good. But we're also talking, that's like the third level of that center role. So there was multiple problems in the first half. Definitely a hustle.
Bowles tech completely took the wind out.
Stupid tech, and I can't even blame him completely on that.
It was soft. It was soft.
It was. Oh no, it was bad. It was very bad. So, and not on him. I would not. This is not a John Bull issue. And that's not the only time. There's a couple times he got fouls that were absolutely ridiculous. And that
all those calls, by the way, same ref. And
of course,
by the way,
SFO.
He got into it with someone that
in
was
the game.
Well, he got into during the game. He got into it with a fan that was sitting courtside, to the point where he made them leave courtside.
Yeah,
he ended up in the box with Terry, but
this is what I'm saying. Again, we allowed the play allowed the ref to be able to do things like that in the game, right? It's just I'm never like this. Yeah, you can go back 122 episodes. There's probably maybe one where I'm like, the rest are just trash and horrible. And I can say that as a fan. I'm not part of the team, right? This just, I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't understand it. And we still could have overcome all of this trash if we just had a better hustle in the first half. And I knew there was going to be a BYU lag. I even said it in the short that, I thought we were going to win, but I even said in the short, there's going to be a lag coming off all the BYU win and that blowout. And I didn't think it was going to be this bad, but I didn't expect to lose someone's who I hope Fumena is okay, just as a person, but it didn't look great. Probably a high ankle sprain or something. It didn't look great. Didn't expect that. Didn't expect a ref to insert himself into the game. And the opponents matter too. You can look at the numbers, and we had a better shooting percentage. If you were at that game, the way it felt, they couldn't freaking miss. That's the way it felt at crunch time.
Well, they still shot almost the first half. They almost shot 50%. I mean, they still almost shot. And the first half, you're right. They fared a lot better in the first half than the second, because we actually played defense in the second half. We didn't in the first half. So if it was 47% for the game and they only scored 31 points in the second half, in spite of having more possessions than we did, what does that tell you? That tells you you're right. It felt that way because they were shooting out of their minds. Yeah. but it
They
was
weren't.
because we were not playing defense. There was no
There-
hustle. Hold on, let me finish.
Yeah.
You've been talking for like 10 minutes now.
I'm fired up about this BS.
I know you are. And you said you had a lot to say, but I have
I still have more. You good? You good?
to say. So, but when we're looking at this, the hustle wasn't there. We got out rebounded, which is pure hustle, especially for us. Points in the paint, we outscore them points in the paint, but they're fast break points, 12 fast break points to our 4, which tells you statistically that, again, that's hustle because we're not getting back on defense during those plays, right? So at the end of the day, to your point, yes, we battled back in the second half, got our heads on straight. Great for Johnny for doing that. We started playing defense, pretty much shut them down. We scored about the same number of points. We outshot them percentage-wise in both 3-pointers and field goals. And we actually made more. Here's the crazy thing. We made one more field goal than they did. They made one more 3-pointer than we did. So what's the difference in the math there, right?
Yeah.
So, and again, it would have been, I mean, the guy tried to burn the clock, right? So he purposely missed at the end. But at the end of the day, this game was very, very winnable despite us playing like trash in the first half. The other thing, since you keep going back to the refs, I want to talk about that last 3-point foul. So there is camera footage from the floor, like someone who was there on the floor. He was never touched. When a 3-point shooter kicks out like that, that's technically an offensive foul, and he did it twice in a row.
Yeah.
Refs should not be calling that with that amount of time left. He never touched him. He actually jumped. He shot. He head faked once. Then he went for the second shot. When Kugel jumped, I thought, oh, maybe he was leaning. He really wasn't at all. He jumped straight up, and then he turned his body, so he wasn't even facing him when he released the ball. So Kugel tried to do his best to avoid that. The guy kicked his leg out. He turned his body and away so that he couldn't get called on it, right? So as often as that has happened this year, he was obviously coached up on it, and he did well there. Johnny they played good defense. It was just a BS call. He was never touched, and the guy kicked his leg. If anything, it should have been an offensive foul, and we should have ended up with the ball. Not that it would have helped, right? But that I think would have at least gotten us into overtime. Now, people are like, okay, why didn't Johnny, or is that a call that you can argue? It's not.
No.
It's not. And here's why. You can argue a foul in the NCAA. You can argue a foul, one, if you've got enough challenges, which we didn't have any timeouts to do the challenge. But two, you can argue a foul if you're arguing the severity of the foul called on the floor. You cannot challenge whether it was a foul at all.
Yeah.
And the reason they do that is so that we aren't questioning every foul that happens, right? So that totally makes sense. Should it have been called? No. Should the referee have gotten involved? No. Does the video footage afterwards show that he was never touched? Yes. Was it reviewable? No. It was not reviewable for a foul. It was not challengeable for a foul, for the foul. So for those of you who were wondering that, and there was a lot of you out there, that's not a possibility, right? Should we have been in that position? No. Positives, Kugel looked great this game. First game back, he was 10 for 19. 2 for 2 from the free throw. Had 26 points, so he looked great. John Bull looked great when he was in and not getting technical fouls, right? He was eating them up. And so, yeah, exactly. And our size advantage should have allowed us to leverage it. That was the game plan. It was working. John Bull's figuring it out. It's just unfortunate that after that technical, it's like all the air came out of the team. Yeah. And that for the first half, they clawed their way back. It shouldn't have been. It shouldn't have been what it was, but it was. And there's a lot of woulda, shoulda, couldas. Where does that leave us?
Well, I'll tell you, this is why that BYU win was so big. The reality is we have to lose the next 3 games to have are we actually on the bubble? And I do not see that happening, but it makes a couple things more important. The game tomorrow, very important. We need to win that game. We should win that game, but we need to win that game. And I think for a couple of reasons. One, psyche. We had 3 great wins in a row. If we would have won the Baylor game and this game, forget the rankings. I care less about the rankings. We get more toward the number 7 seed that Roger's talking about. That's probably way more important, to be honest. We absolutely need to avoid the top 4.
Well, it could have been a double bye in the Big 12 tournament too. That's the other.
It's quite possible. Yeah, it's possible we could have done that, and that would have been nice. And the reality is,
we still get a single bye. We will get a single bye.
We'll be fine, and that will be good. And we just need to do that. It makes the Oklahoma State game more important. It makes at West Virginia still more important. It makes the tournament more important. And honestly, it means we need to get at least 1, if not 2 more wins to have a shot at that seeding. I think that's to me, that's really what this means. It's infuriating, but we just need to win one of the next 2-3 games, and next game up.
So here's the real deal. Like I didn't think we were going to win 6 in a row. I figured we'd lose 1 somewhere, right?
Yeah.
We're 20-8 now, so we've hit the 20 win number. I think we will probably finish 22 regular season 22-8. I think we win the next 2 games. Fala is out for OSU. It's our last home game. Fala is out for OSU, which was their major contributor.
Yeah,
we should have won the first one, to be honest with you, but we didn't. So I do think we win that one. I don't think that's a problem. West Virginia at home is always tough, but they still can score. So unless they shoot out of their minds, and we just have a terrible offensive performance, I still think we beat West Virginia. So I think regular season we finished 22-8. We get the first round bye. Worst case scenario, we finish 22-9 and 11-8 in Big 12 conference. We are making the NCAA tournament. I have no doubt in my mind.
Yeah.
Now, if we win 2, I think we'll probably be an 8 seed. If we win 3, there is a possibility that we'll be a 7 seed, which will help. However, let me throw another wrinkle at you. The NCAA sent a notice out to the teams today that for the tournament, where people are playing, which will also impact the seeding without them saying it'll impact the seeding, right? Where people will be playing is going to be affected by the number of available charter flights. Apparently, there's a huge dearth of private charter flights that are going to be available during tournament time. Now, I don't know if this has anything to do with potential fuel shortage, or if it's just the spring break, because they're that's spring break time too. But private charters are not going to be available during that time, so they're talking about regionalizing more of the NCAA tournament games, which means we could end up in Tampa. We're a long way from figuring out where our seating would be in wherever we play the first round, but that will come into into play as well, based on where we're going to be, etc.
Yeah.
All right. I think that about wraps it up for hoops. We already kind of talked about OSU at home. I think we win that one. This team's going to be pissed off. We're going to be at home. They're missing Fowler. This team beat us at their house, so I honestly think we're going to put belt to since we're a clean show. But as of 3:20 or the 2nd, which is today. We're currently number 46 in the net rankings, number 30 in RPI. Quad 1 wins were 4 and 5 because there's been some movement in the quadrants. Quad 2 wins were 6 and 3. Quad 3 were 3 and 0, and Quad 4 were 7 and 0. There are now only there are only 5 teams ranked in the Big 12 conference. So obviously, we mentioned earlier that BYU lost, which means they dropped out of the rankings. So they went from number 19 to unranked. So that obviously affects those Q1 wins and losses. So right now we have number 2 Arizona, number 6 ISU, number 7 Houston, number 10 Texas Tech, and number 14 Kansas, which Kansas got embarrassed. Houston lost.
Yeah.
ISU lost big time. And so, that's interesting that they're still where they are relative to the seeding. So where does that leave us in the standings? So here's what's crazy. BYU drops 2 or 3. TCU moves up. They're 9 and 7 in conference, as are we. So they are tied for 5th with us. West Virginia actually moves up above BYU at 8 and 8, and Cincinnati is 8 and 8. So it's interesting. And when you look at the legacy teams versus the teams that joined, right? So we joined, Houston joined, so we're above the fold as far as the top half of the conference. BYU just dipped below, and Cincinnati's right underneath that. After them, it's Colorado, Arizona State, Baylor, Oklahoma State, Kansas State, and Utah. So in Big 12 basketball for this year, we're doing great against legacy teams and against teams from the Pac-12. So really, really, really interesting stuff. I'm just glad we're talking about the tournament and getting some extra games. So that's it for hoops. Anything else you want to add to that?
Arizona's doing some damage on Iowa State too. So it's even when you're at the top 6 matchup, it doesn't even matter. Like, some teams are just phenomenal. This is a phenomenal conference. As someone that has loved basketball at UCF for since we were in the garage, and when Troy is not a state, this is really great to see. I mean, the Kirk Jerks in me is very, very excited about all this, and maybe we're in Tampa. I don't know. I'm hoping I have a shot of going to the first round. We'll see.
All right. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it's a thing. So there you go. Yeah. Okay. So let's go ahead and swivet and talk about a little UCF baseball. Because I got some concerns.
Yeah.
I got some real concerns.
I mean, we're 5 and 5. Even that alone is like, ugh.
Yeah, I don't care about that. What I care about is the hitting has looked absolutely atrocious. Obviously, we played the Cows, which, okay, we played the Cows. We did not win, obviously, right?
Yeah.
And we lost 2 out of 3, so we did win the Sunday game. But again, it was a 2-1 game. Pitching, yeah. I think we've still got
a walk-off 2-1 win.
Yeah, exactly. So pitching, we've done great. I think we've got a lot of talent, especially in the bullpen.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what in the hay is going on with our hitting. It's been atrocious. We've scored 3 runs in the last, what was it, like 12 innings or so or something?
Yeah.
No, longer than that. 3 runs in the last like 3 games, I think, or something like that. Well, no, the Cows and then 3 games before that. So like the last 5 games. That's not going to cut it. It's just not going to cut it. So Wallace has a problem. I know he's been playing with lineups and all of that other stuff, but we love Coach Wally here on this show. We talk to him all the time. Absolutely, appreciate him. and what he's about and everything else. However, he's got a problem. He's got a big problem. And I don't know if there's anything we can do about it. I mean, if we don't have the hitting, we're gonna it doesn't matter what kind of pitching staff we have. Sauce is back. He seems to be doing well. Like I said, we've got great relievers. I just don't see anything in the hitting. Josh, what are your thoughts on UCF baseball? Number one, have you watched any UCF baseball?
A little. I saw some highlights in a little Sienna. So this is really not with the most informed site, but I see our side chat of everyone not happy, and I mean I can see the scores and I can see what's going on. It's a weird vibe. I hate saying that, but there just seems to be, just from the people who I know who are really into this, it's like, what's going on here? And this is not what we're used to seeing. It's forget the cows, right? We should want to beat them all the time, and if we don't, it doesn't really hurt anything anymore of conference or whatever. So there's a little less at stake. But we've played some amazing teams. I understand getting like slobber knocked at versus LSU, but I expect, and even with the change in the times, I expect it to be a smidgen more competitive versus the cows, right? So it just, something feels off. I can't put my mind around it, and Sienna like doesn't count, count, so I can't really, like, I watched Sienna and we look great. Well, of course, right? I feel like couldn't get past the finish line at Miami was also kind of, I wouldn't say a foreshadowing of things to come, but kind of indicative of where we're at the season. Like, just can't get over the top.
Our hitting has been terrible until the later innings. We haven't moved anything across. A lot of flyouts. Though we've got some power on the team, but we've been getting a lot of flyouts. The pitchers have definitely studied our hitters, and everything that we're hitting is into the ground, right? Mm-hmm. We're hitting into the infield on the ground, which is allowing for easy outs. It's not like everybody's striking out. They're just hitting directly to the infielders, and then the infielders are then turning the play, and then it's over, right? Small ball is non-existent. We've had a couple of good bunts. Deamis Ross, who had been coming on strong last year, number one hitter, he just has been doing nothing at leadoff. And so you've got that going on. There's only really one or two bright spots. Our defense has been getting much better. So our defense has been playing well. Our pitching is pretty good. We just keep hitting into the infield and grounders. They're all grounders. So people have figured us out as far as hitters are concerned. Until we actually change that and we start putting some contact and putting some balls in play, it feels like if we're hitting into anything in the infield, we're hitting directly to a player. If we're hitting anything out, it's a pop-up and doesn't make it out of the park. Now, there's been several of them that have been close. One last weekend, not this past weekend, but the weekend before, we had a lot of balls that were basically being blown back in and weren't carried out. We've also been hitting a lot of homers towards center, which is the furthest distance from the plate, which stops things from going out too. But we just keep hitting a lot of flyouts. So I don't know what the answer is, but I can tell you this: they've got some work to do on the ground on getting balls in play. They've got to get small ball going, and I think if they can do that consistently, then there's going to be pitches that are going to be thrown that we can get our power behind, and we're going to have to be able to show it because people are going to keep pitching to us that way. so that we're batting into the infield as long as we keep doing it, because that's the way to win against UCF. We've been, we haven't been winning by or losing the games that we lost. Haven't been by any crazy margins, right? It's, the worst one was LSU. Then we lost the first game against the Cows 2-9 on Saturday, and that was a doubleheader. We lost the second one in 10, 1-2.
Yeah.
We put the tying score there. We had 2 chances to move. We had the winning score in scoring position in second base. Couldn't do anything with that. And we won 2-1. Before that, we beat Notre Dame 4-2. We lost to Indiana 1-6. We shouldn't have, but that was hitting again. We lost to Miami 7-8. They came back. That was in 13. So is it early? Yeah. Am I concerned about the hitting? Yeah. Does the hitting usually catch up to pitching? Yeah. But what I'm seeing right now, and just even the lack of getting guys on base, that's my concern, because we just keep hitting right into the infield.
We have a couple weeks to see. No, right? I mean, all you can see is the proof in the pudding, and maybe we'll have a different conversation in a couple of weeks. Last year, everyone was like, "Fire Johnny," and this year, we're like, he's not that bad when he has the right people." So let's just, and has nothing to do with Coach Wallace, but let's just see what happens. And so far, we see what we see, and
there's not really going to be much for us. There's not really going to be much for us to be able to see this coming week. So on Wednesday, we play a midweek game against Florida Gulf Coast. So not going to see much there. Then we play Murray State for the weekend series. And then
because they could be good. You never know.
I don't think so. And then we've got number 16 Miami back at home on another midweek game on the 11th. Then we're into the conference slate. So starting with OSU.
Well, the Racers were 10-2. So, but it doesn't mean they beat anyone of any consequence.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't. I honestly didn't even remember what their mascot was. So the fact that you said,
the
Racers, just see, that was so forgettable that I just forgot about it again. So they're 10-2. They've played Ohio, Northern Alabama, Butler, UT Martin,
Mercyhurst. Now that's a place I have not heard of, and I'm now going to look that up.
They're in Nashville, Tennessee.
That part I got, but it looks like they took Marshall's logo and just
threw Mercyhurst on top of it. Yeah.
Yes.
So again, they haven't played anybody, so I'm not expecting much out of them. I don't think we're going to figure out much about this team against Florida Gulf Coast or Murray State. But we've got to find some hitting. They've got to use it as a booster for themselves to get their mojo back. And Rich Wallace has got to get with his hitting coach and get these guys' swings fixed, because there's really only one player that's hitting consistently in a big way. So, all right, let's go ahead and swiv it yet again.
Swiv it to Mercyhurst, which was actually in Erie, Pennsylvania, and they played in Nashville.
Wow, there you go. Let's
to a good team.
So let's talk about softball talk. We'll talk a little softball now. So the opposite of the UCF baseball is UCF softball, who's already up to 20 wins. They're 20-4.
And 4 losses to top 25 teams at that time or currently. And I think
number 16 Duke, number 17 Georgia, number 8 Nebraska, and to Penn State.
Yeah, I mean it's and I think Duke's out of it, but I think the rest are still in the top 25. there's some wins. So I do all this stuff for the sports that you only it should be the sports only Roger and Josh kind of follow. That should be really what it is. They are doing splendidly, and I hope in the next sometime in March, I'm probably going to go out there with my daughter, who's also on a softball team. So I'm going to try to get that going. They seem to be hitting on most cylinders. And this is interesting because I think it was like last year or the year before, they were winning a lot of games, but couldn't get over the hump on top 25 teams. And I feel like they're getting over the hump and beating most teams with just a few. I don't know if they lose all 4 of those games right now. Honestly, I think they just have this really good winning.
Well, our problem has been in the circle, right? So
Yes.
Now, granted, our pitching staff, some of them are younger.
Correct.
Lopez is still got a 2-point-something ERA, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's like 2.05 or whatever. But she got batted around against Penn State, right? So
which is now a top 25 team, but still, right?
Well, yeah, they're a top 25 team. We were a top 25 team when we played them. We're
back in now, baby.
Are we?
Yeah, we're number 23. You should wait for my segment.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
But the teams that we played, that were in the top 25. So Duke was 16 at the time. We lost to Georgia. We got creamed by Georgia. 17.
We got smoked like once or twice, but really, that's about it.
Well, but where I was going with this, so Georgia and Nebraska are 2 of our losses, right?
Mm-hmm.
Number 8, number 17. We beat LSU, who's number 10 at the time. I don't know what they are now. They were number 10 at the time. But you're right. I mean, our losses were all the top 25 teams. We're number 23 in the country. Our hitting is phenomenal. We're hitting at a great clip. And we're run ruling a lot of teams. That's the other thing. Just run rule, obviously Dartmouth in 5 innings, Wagner in 5 innings. That's 2. We run
FAMU was like 22-2 or something like that.
22, 21-2. Yeah, so that's 1, 2, 3 run rules, 4 run rules. Ohio, 5 run rule. Nope, we lost that one in run rules.
5, 6,
5 run
7,
rules.
8,
We beat
9.
We beat Maryland twice, run ruled.
Yeah.
Buffalo run ruled, and Bakersfield and Boston U. The offense is cooking. What I'm afraid of is you really need 2 aces in the circle to be able to go the distance. And that's the one thing I'm concerned about because, as I said before, I don't see a lot of variety in our pitching, right? We don't have different looks, different pitchers that we can throw different looks at different people, right? There's not a whole lot of variety. So, someone who's a great rise ball person, someone who's can put it low right across the knees and have it, falling. We just don't have that. We've had that in years past. So it'll be interesting with this team, but still, as much as I'm saying all that, we've played a lot of really good teams thus far, and we're 20-4 still, which is nuts. So, we're getting ready to enter conference season. So we don't play again until Friday, where we start our series against OSU. They're number 23 in the country. Then we're playing Baylor, FIU, and then number 2 Texas Tech. So I want to see how many games do we have left in this season. It's variable, usually 3, 6, 7.
Probably 20 something. It's usually 60-ish games.
We play number 5 Florida later this season too.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Like a couple. I think it's 2 games mid-year or mid-season.
we've got 30 games left. So we're almost to 500. We're 10 games out of 500 for the season already.
Yeah.
So
it's insane how many games they play in like one every day for like 6 days straight. It's amazing. And we still have not the best I'm going to talk about this a little bit later, but maybe I'll just cover most of it now. We have two really three with Florida, but two in conference matchups, which one is coming up this weekend versus number 13 Oklahoma State. We also have the number 2 Texas Tech coming to town right after or the tail end of spring break at UCF. So this is a lot of actually. It's interesting that the Florida game is a weekend right before the last series up in Ames. Trying to get some significantly powerful competition before you get to the Big 12 softball tournament in Oklahoma City. So it is a really good team. I'm expecting this team to get somewhere near probably 40 wins plus,
which is enough to get into the tournament yet again.
Should be. LSU is, by the way, number 16 right now. We're doing good. My question is, can we take one or two from Florida and Texas Tech? Can we do well on the road? Do we get a series win over this next coming weekend? We'll probably know what we need to know about this team after spring break for UCF and Orange County Public Schools here in Orlando. By the time we get to the 23rd and we're all back, we'll know. Because if we lose both series to top-ranked teams, it's what it is. If we don't, I think we'll know. And then we got Baylor at home in between that and a random midweek FIU game. I'm excited for this team. I'm excited for how they're playing. We have other teams that are doing really, really well. It's not just men's basketball.
Well, this team has made consecutive under Coach Bear all the way going back to, I think, 2019 NCAA tournament appearances. So, I mean, from 2019 through 2025 has been a phenomenal run. So this program's cooking. We're getting better talent. Obviously, the P5 tag has helped us, but even before that, people are coming to play for Coach Bear. We're going to get teams off of higher ranked or highly rated programs. And I expect a lot of things out of this team. So, all right, enough softball talk. Let's go ahead and swiv it yet again to listener love segment. So this week, we had some longer ones and one that I'm not going to mention, but let's start with Matt the Cat 16. He says, it's talking about the Baylor game. I was there too. I thought the refs were absolutely terrible, but that first half killed us. We couldn't guard Carr at all. Kugel is still great.
True.
Yeah, well, 56 points should tell you.
No, he got 20 points in the first half, and I think he ended with 24. Now we couldn't. It was bad. It was bad. Yeah. It was bad.
So, Matt the Cat, you're absolutely correct. Our response: Kugel needed to recharge. Having looked back at the last call on the 3, the shooter kicked his legs, which is usually an offensive foul. ... Or ellipses. Most refs do not make that call that late in the game. That ref got into it with a fan earlier, and I'm pretty sure that rubbed him the wrong way. Econ advisor, when we're talking about our money in the we gave you a breakdown of the financials last week for UCF. He says, and if Iran blocks the Strait of Hormuz, if the U.S. attacks them, the oil baron donors will enhance their fortunes even more. So what he's talking about is Texas Tech, etc. So he posted that 4 days ago and proved prophetic. Anyway.
Wow.
Okay, and then UCF alum 5 days ago says, "Congrats, Trey. You'll be a great dad." Our response: he actually already is. Smiley face. One of the best people I know. He will be back next Monday. Smiley face, which he was supposed to be, but you guys got the live updates on that one. All right. So that being said, let me just give all of you a shout out. We do this for you because we don't get anything out of it. But we do ask that you like, share, subscribe, tell your friends, because it helps us reach more people. So we're averaging about 21,000 or so views per month. I've been doing an absolutely horrific job of making sure that I'm reposting these videos after the live. So I need to get better at that. I've had a few things going on personally the last 2 weeks that Josh is privy of, that has had me traveling for not so good reasons, and has kind of really put a damper on my ability to do that. But I promise you, I will get back to doing that and making sure everything is out on our podcast profiles. But like I said, we appreciate all the comments. We appreciate when you participate. We obviously talk about them on the show. And we just thank you for following along with us, watching our 2-hour shows, or maybe listening. I would recommend you do it at 2 times speed, just saying. Just continue to like, follow, share, and tell your friends. So with that being said, let's go ahead and swim it yet again. Josh's sometimes funny fact of the week. Josh, take it away.
Yeah, so since Roger wanted to stop talking about softball, we're going to talk about softball. So Coach Cindy Ball-Malone, also known as Coach Bear, has been winning for quite some time. Last year wasn't as much winning as we would like, but has a pretty good winning record as a coach. 2 questions. Question 1, has Coach ever had a losing season at UCF? And then follow that up. When's the last time the coach has had a losing season? If either one is true or not true.
I'm going to say that I don't believe she's had a losing season at UCF.
Okay.
That I can recall.
Mm-hmm.
Before that, she was at Boise, and Boise had a pretty good program.
Good. I was wondering if you get that.
Yep, she was at Boise before, and I don't think they've had a losing season. She was a champion at Pacific and was ended up being a All-American at Pacific when she played there as a pitcher. That was the late 90s, I think, or late 90s she played there in 99. So she absolutely she's been a winner all her life, and I can't recall her ever having a losing season. But that doesn't mean that isn't true, because that's a long span, and I'm only accounting for Boise and UCF and Pacific. Yeah. Well, she was coach at Pacific too, if I recall correctly, too.
So, couple of notes. Definitely 99-2002 was a player at University of the Pacific. If you don't know, that's in California. My wife actually almost went to law school there. She was an assistant coach after that for 4 years and went to some junior colleges in the West Coast as a head coach. I was assistant head coach at Washington, Cal North State, Northridge, and then started Boise to UCF. So UCF is actually the furthest west she's actually been. I don't think she was ever east. She's always been in the west. This is the first east she's
Did you get your degree from the cows? Are you directionally challenged?
Yes, I'm directionally challenged. Unfortunately, she did have a couple of losing seasons, but the last time she had a losing season was 2016, 10 years ago, when Boise was not as good. She brought them up to the last her last season there. It was 40-16, and I double checked. Boise State, I don't think has had a losing season since either. So new coach there must have done really well with the progress she made. So
the new coach there was one of her assistant coaches,
and that would make sense. And they coach Bear in 6 seasons at UCF as of not including this season has a 672 .672 winning percentage, 216 and 105 with 2 ties. So
That's
and
crazy.
that's it is. I'm there are sports at UCF where we should be good at. Softball should be one of them, and I'm very glad that this team is doing as well as it is this year. And we'll see. We'll see how far that goes.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how far this team can go. The only thing I'm worried about is, like I said, in the circle. I think the hitting is great. I think we've got some great defense that we've been able to show. We've had some miscues at third and first, but outside of that, this team has been really, really, really good defensively. And it's senior Latin, and we've got some good transfers, and we've got great hitting going on. And a lot of those freshmen or sophomore, either transfers or new folks that we recruited have come in and done really well. And she's recruiting at a high level again. So this softball program, and I'm not talking about a team, in basketball, we talk about a team because it changes every year, but this and the program hasn't consistently found its footing yet. Although we've got 2 20-win seasons in a row, this softball program has been good since its inception and is in good hands. When our former coach went back to her home of Iowa to coach softball there, which we thought was a big loss. We brought in Coach Bear, and she's been a great, great, great hire for us, unlike our basketball coach in women's basketball. So let's go ahead and swim to another quick update on UCF sports that Alan and Andrew do not watch, and probably Trey too, but that's okay. We could have asked him, but the baby called. All right, go ahead.
Yeah. So we were talking about the women's basketball teams, another sport that's going on right now. They actually had a 1-1 week. They are 11-18. They did lose the final home game of the season to number 19 West Virginia, 62-74. Pretty close at halftime, but couldn't squeak that out, and that does happen. They did beat Houston on the road, 72-62. And and I actually watched that entire game on Sunday, and after a very long Sunday morning at the Panda Fest here in Orlando, just relaxed, watched the women. It was a pretty decent game.
I don't know what to do with the Panda Fest. That's like
okay. I don't
know if that's a call the cops kind of thing or what that is. Tell me what the Panda Fest is.
Is basically a way to get you to pay money to go in to pay more money to buy good food, but like I had a crepe with some ice cream and it was $17.
Is it a food thing?
It's a food thing. Mostly a food
that's
thing.
What I needed to know, right? I didn't know what that was. I was imagining lots of things that were not.
It is an overpriced food fair that does give you a lot of interesting things. I tried sushi pizza. It was okay. We had this crepe that was wonderful. They had why not? They had this like huge meat stick that was like $17. I'm like, dude, that is like maybe $3 a meat. No, I'm not buying your $17 meat skewer. You can be and pause me all you want. The number 8 men's tennis team is now 12-2 after beating FAU 7-0 last Thursday. Up next are the Cows in Tampa on Wednesday, March 4th at 5 p.m. Please, please, please beat them. Your number 42 and rising women's tennis team went 2-0 again this weekend. So if you were here the last time, you would have saw us. I said that last time. They went to take their record to 9-1. They beat number 29 BYU 4-1, as that was a bit of a surprise and an upset. And they beat number 35 Utah 4-0. The team now goes on a Arizona. I can let it breathe. I heard the applause. I was gonna pop down. The team's going to go to the Arizona Double Dip. We need a name for the Arizona Double Dip, right? Whenever you're going to Tucson and to Tempe and you're doing that one weekend thing, we need a name for this. If you have a name for this, please put it in the comments, because we have to call this something, because we're going to be doing it every single season for a while in most sports. So they're going to do that Arizona double dip. They're going to meet number 43 Arizona this Friday, March 6th at 2 p.m. Eastern, and going to Tempe to face number 6 Arizona State again at 2 p.m. Eastern. We talked about the 23rd ranked softball team. You know what they are doing. And I also talked about the games getting a little bit harder than the past as they go to number 13 Oklahoma State University at Cowgirl Stadium in Stillwater, a 3-game series on March 6th, 7th, and 8th at 7, 3, and 12 p.m. Eastern, respectively. Men's golf did not play last week, and they're playing at Sawgrass Country Club starting March 7th at the Hyatt. I think it's Hyatt. There's not 2 T's. It's not that Hyatt, but Hyat. Maybe it's Hyatt. I
thought it was Hayati. I don't know.
Hayati. It's I need a censor my.
I think it's Chuck Norris's tournament, so I think it's Hayati.
Okay. Now I thought it was like kind of rhyming with yacht. It was yacht. I don't know if that's it.
At the yacht. They're at the yacht.
The yacht. Going to the yacht. The next tournament after that is going to be mid-March for both the men's and the women's team. The men will be at the ECU Intercollegiate. The women's golf team was playing, I think, during the program, because they're over out in UNLV, and they're playing at the UNLV Invite. So after the first round, they were in 5th place. They're doing okay, and had some insane second round. They had a second round at 8 under. This is the only team in the entire tournament that hit anything under par, and they went 8 under. They are actually winning, leading the tournament right now, so they have one more day to see if they can hold on for that win. And again, they have another tournament mid-March at the Braggers Creek Invitational in South Carolina. Last and certainly not least, the women's track and field team earned their first ever medal in a Big 12 distance event. They got 9th at distance medal relay. Jasmine Newberry also took 3rd for bronze at the 400 meter. There was also another top 10 in the 4x400, which was on here, and I don't know what happened to my notes. Remember it right off the top. We had a lot of other top 10 finishes and a couple of personal records at the meet overall. The track and field team is doing some good work in the spring. That's all I have for you today in the segment. Quick update on other UCF sports that Alan and Andrew doesn't watch, and Trey probably doesn't too, and that's okay. Back to you, Roger. What do we...
I don't know. For those of you listening, we're spicing it up a little bit with the sound effects.
Oh, God.
All right. Listen, everyone, this week was a tough week to be a UCF night with baseball's unfortunate results. And then obviously the I won't call it a heartbreaking, but disappointing loss against Baylor, and frustrating and angering. And I want to do this. At the end of that game, especially at the refs. But that being said, all in all, still a great time to be a Knight. We've got a Big 12 basketball team that is over 20 wins, should be, in my estimation, finishing the regular season with 22 wins, and then also has an opportunity in the tournament. Will finish, in my opinion, we're currently 2 over 500 in the conference, and I expect we will be 4 over, and had lots of opportunities to even be better than that. So this is a good team. It's a fun team. Let's watch them. As much as certain things frustrate me, and I go in detail about those kinds of things, it's still exciting. We've got a game tomorrow night, so if you watch us live tonight, you'll see us play tomorrow. For those of you that don't catch us until later in the week, I think we'll be celebrating a win against OSU. So I have a lot of confidence in that. Thank you, everyone, for watching us, following along, putting up with our shenanigans. Go cheer for the softball team. Go cheer for the basketball team, and everybody in between. And if you can catch men's tennis, I know it's not a big thing for UCF, But UCF's
Good.
men's tennis team has been good and will continue to be good. So they're really good right now. Go catch a game. It's they're played at the USNT National Tennis Center over there in Lake Nona, so it's not too far away. Make sure you continue. Thank you for liking, subscribing, following, telling your friends. Go Knights and
charge on. And remember that this weekend is daylight savings time. So on the 8th, you're going to have to set your clock back or forward. What do you